After that, no game for you if you don't sign up. Grounds tonight, that is at Pomona First Baptist. It will not be at my house this time, so don't show up because we will not cater to your every needs, maybe. We probably will. But just, what we're going to do tonight, I have Passion of the Christ written down, so you can only imagine what that means. It's going to be a very intense time tonight. Yes? Yeah? It's going to be okay. So don't come and expect it to just be like a dreary kind of, I am not on my game. A dreary kind of mood for the evening. There's going to be a lot of cool things that are going to go with it. So show up. It's not just going to be the movie and then that's it. So, okay. Who knows how to get to PFB? If you don't know, find one of those people raising their hands. Okay, now I have our speaker. So it's going to get better right now because I'm going to be leaving. This person actually has been doing a series of competitions with another person in our movement, Caitlin Rogers. And I believe she's only won one of these competitions. Yeah, so Caitlin's fantastic. So, just kidding. So our speaker is Amanda Gagnon. She's been on staff for a while. You can come up. I'm trying to talk as you make your way. She's been on staff for us for the year. She has a twin, and she really wanted me to sing you a song as she was coming up, but I'm not because I can't sing. So here's Amanda.
Hello. Okay, wait. Let me make sure. Stay on time. So as Brock mentioned, I'm a twin. I'm an identical twin. And I've been on staff. This is my 5th year. It's not super long, but, longer than a year or two. I'm just going to leave this like this. And so I wanted to sing the Gaucho song because I graduated from UC Santa Barbara. You guys ever know, ole, 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 and you toss tortillas? That's as much as school spirit as we had at UCSB. So I graduated from UCSB. I was involved in CRU there as a student. And it was there that really God placed my heart, just the passion for college ministry. And so right after graduation, I graduated in 2006. I joined staff that summer. And I've been at I was at UCLA for 3 years. And then this year, earlier in the fall, I transitioned here. So I've been here for almost a year. And it's been awesome. God's continually teaching me things and growing my heart for college ministry. So it's been great. I'm going to lower this just. Oh, there we go. So you can actually see my face. But to get you a little bit of glimpse of my life, Earth Day is coming up. I actually don't know exactly when it is, or it's already passed. Tomorrow. Okay, perfect. So I want to let you know about a little bit of how I was when I was growing up. So I went through this save the earth, save the animals phase. And it was a huge phase. I had dreams of trekking through the rainforest. In fact, I thought that would have been the best vacation ever. And I had this idea that I wanted to make my room into a rainforest. The Rainforest Cafe? That was not in existence when I was young. But if it was, I probably would have wanted to go there all the time. I thought it was amazing. And so it was kind of during this time, I was about 10 years old. It was a phase that lasted through elementary school. My parents and my sister and I would always go on a camping trip. We'd go to camping trips every summer. We'd go to the national forests. And this particular year when I was 10, I went to the Redwoods. And so I was so excited. If you guys have ever been to the Redwoods, I went to Jedediah Smith Campground. And it's seriously like you're walking into Jurassic Park. It looks prehistoric. And so I was so excited. And I was even more excited because when we got into the park, the ranger station had these backpacks for kids that you could rent. And so in the backpack were, binoculars and these bird identification books and water sampling kit and this huge thermometer. It was just filled with these things. So my dad surprised my sister and I. My sister could have cared less, but I was super excited with this backpack. And he kind of pulls aside and said, okay, there's things in this backpack that are kind of expensive, so you need to be responsible. You need to take care of it. But have fun, go sample the water, and have fun. So I was really, really excited about this. I couldn't wait to get in the backpack. So we're setting up camp, and, I'm going through the backpack, and I see this thermometer. So this wasn't like any other thermometer. It was this huge thermometer in a plastic case. And it was attached to kind of a long string. And it's that you could basically see how cold the water is. And so I thought it was so cool. And 30 minutes into it, my dad's setting up camp. I think people were gone. I start swinging this thermometer. And I'm just in my own little world swinging it. And in fact, my aunt was with us on this trip. And she's like, Amanda, you might not want to swing that. It could, fly out of your hand and hit a rock. And I'm thinking, like, that's going to happen. I have control. So literally, she goes back. She had a motorhome, in her motorhome. I'm alone, and I'm swinging this thermometer. And seriously, 5 seconds after she leaves, it flies out of my hand and hits like the smallest rock ever, okay? Like the only rock in the campsite. And so I sit there and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. And so I kind of slowly walk over, and I'm thinking, okay, it's in a plastic case. I'm fine. We're good to go. So I kind of slowly walk over, and I start to open the case. And I open it, and it's shattered in the case, okay? This is 30 minutes after I got the backpack, okay? This isn't even like halfway through the week. And so my first thought is, I can't believe that just happened. And then my second thought is, I am in so much trouble. My dad is going to be so mad and so disappointed. So no one's around, so I'm thinking, maybe I can open it and try to put it, glue it back together. I was desperate. And I'm thinking, that's just a stupid idea. And then I think, okay, maybe I can, hide it and then make up this story. Something happened. I was like, that's probably not the smartest idea because I'll probably get caught and I'll be in even worse trouble. So I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. It was 30 minutes, no one was there, and I knew I had to tell my dad. And I was so scared to tell him. So I think back to this story, and it kind of reminds me, it brings back good memories. I was just remembering it with my dad the other weekend, because he's like, I couldn't believe that. But it reminds me of ways in which I just want to try to fix myself. Like, I want to try to fix things that are broken in my life and sin in my life. And I think that we can probably all relate to that. Instances where we've made maybe poor decisions or where things haven't gone as planned, and we just want to fix it. And I think it reminds me of just even further my relationship with the Lord and how sometimes I, on my own strength, want to fix things, and I don't want to leave it up to God. And so even in continuing our series of Jesuses, I want us to consider even that Jesus is our hope, and that he is our hope, that we don't need to fix things, that we can't fix things in our own strength. And even things that don't go as planned in our life, brokenness in our life, that it's through Jesus alone that we can hope in and hope for. And as I was thinking through this series, Jesus is hope, I was reminded of a story I studied this past summer. And it's a story found in 2 Samuel. It's a story of Mephibosheth and David, if you guys remember. It's a short story. It's about 13 verses. And I love this story because it reminds me and it points me back to Christ. And it reminds me of the hope that we have found in Christ. So I think there's a slide with 2 Samuel 9, chapter 9, 1 to 13. If you have your Bibles, go ahead and open, and we're going to read it real quick. It starts off, and David said, "Is there still anyone left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant of the house of Saul who was named Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "I am your servant." And the king said, "Is there still not someone of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of God to him?" Ziba said to the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in his feet." The king said to him, "Who is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "He is in the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel, at Lodabar." Then King David sent and brought him from the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel, at Lodabar. And Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and paid homage. And David said, "Mephibosheth." And he answered, "Behold, I am your servant." And David said to him, "Do not fear, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan, and I will restore to you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat at my table always." And he paid homage and said, "What is your servant that you should show regard for a dead dog such as I?" Then the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, "All that belonged to Saul and to all his house I have given to your master's grandson. And you and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him, and shall bring in the produce, that your master's grandson may have bread to eat. but Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall always eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, according to all that my lord the king commands his servant, so will your servant do. So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. And Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah. And all who lived in Ziba's house became Mephibosheth's servants. So Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he ate always at the king's table. Now he was lame in both his feet. And to give you a little bit of background from the story, the context is that the period of Judges has just ended, if you know anything about Judges. And Saul was Israel's first king. But what we know where this story takes place is Saul and his son Jonathan have died. And this story takes place in David is king now. He's taken the throne. And so we know that Saul is Israel's first king. But what we also know is that David is Israel's ideal king. And it points Israel to their need for their perfect king, which is found in Jesus Christ. So it's through the story that we kind of see qualities of God in how David treats Mephibosheth. So a little bit, it's kind of interesting. It starts off, David asks, is there any servant who I can show kindness to? And it's interesting because what we know is that Saul was David's enemy. But what we also know is Saul's son Jonathan was one of David's dear friends. He was close to David. They shared everything. They were like brothers. And so in 1 Samuel chapter 20, we won't go there, but we see that David makes this covenant with Jonathan. And what he says is Jonathan knows that David's going to be king soon. He knows that Saul's going to he doesn't know they're going to die, but he knows that he's going to basically not be king anymore. And so he's fearful. He fears that what will happen either to him or his children or anyone connected to his family. And so David promises Jonathan 15 to 20 years prior that he promises him that he will have kindness. He will have care and compassion for Jonathan's family. And so we see, flash forward 20 years. We see that David is searching for anyone who's survived in Saul's line so that he can fulfill this covenant that he made with Jonathan. So both Saul and Jonathan have died, but he finds out that there's a servant Ziba, and he calls Ziba in, and he says, is there anyone left of Saul's house? And Jonathan, and so Ziba's like, well, actually, there is a guy. His name is Mephibosheth. He's actually Jonathan's son, but he mentions that he's crippled. And so we kind of get this first insight into Mephibosheth's life, that he's crippled. And so we kind of wonder, okay, well, how did he become crippled? Was he born crippled? Actually, what happened was that when Mephibosheth was young, that's when Jonathan his father had died. And when the nurse taking care of Mephibosheth had gotten news that Jonathan had died and Saul had died, she was in fear. She was afraid of what would happen to both her and Mephibosheth. And so she grabs Mephibosheth and runs and escapes to Lodabar. But on their way, she drops him, and that's how he becomes crippled. So his physical state of being crippled and broken is a reminder of that fear, of that escape that he faces day after day after day. And we also know that he now, they find him in Lodabar. And what we know of Lodabar is a dismal place. It's a place of desolation. It's basically a place of no hope. And so Mephibosheth's crippled state, his physical state, very much reflects where he's living. No one wanted to live in Lodabar. I kind of think of, and if you're from here, I'm so sorry, but of Needles, California. Have you guys ever been to Needles? I drive through Needles to visit my grandma in Arizona, and I just would never want to live in Needles. There's desert life in Needles, but it's really hot, and it's just, there's not much going on there. And so I kind of think of Lodabar as this place. He flees from Jerusalem, which is the promised land, very, there's a lot of land, fruitful and everything. He's just in this desolate place. So we know he comes from there.